Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in, and I am so happy that you're here and that we can talk about plants and plant things. And today I'm going to do another one of my shorter videos. The last one I did was about systemic, which I'll link above, and why you should never ever, no, systemic is bad. Do not use it. Find out why. Anyway, today I want to talk about something that I also often see recommended, and it's not nearly as bad as systemic. And it's something that you kind of need to do your research on, and you need to think twice about using and taking its word for gold. I don't know. And that is a moisture meter. Everyone seems to think that this thing is the end all and be all to all your watering problems. And yes, I'm not saying you should not use it, but I'm saying that this should never be your only method of trying to figure out whether or not your plant needs water. That is because this depends on so many factors. First of all, this is not measuring water or moisture at all in your soil. What it is measuring is conductivity in your soil. And depending on what kind of soil you have, it's not going to conduct as much as other types of soil. So for me personally, I use a very chunky mix on most of my plants. And I will do a video on what I use in my soil mixture. But it's super chunky, it's light, and it's airy. And since it's super chunky and light and airy, you stick this in there and it's gonna say that it is not wet at all. Like if I'm lucky, it maybe gets into the moist level, but honestly, most of the time it says that it's dry, even though I just watered a plant. So one of the dangers of using a moisture meter is that you can be overwatering your plant because you're sitting there and just watering it. I'm like, why doesn't it say that it's wet? And you keep on going and you keep on going and you keep on adding more water, and next thing you know, your plant died. You're like, but I used a moisture meter. That's one reason why we don't use them. So then on the other end of the spectrum is that sometimes it will always say that something is moist because depending on your soil, there's so many factors, okay? Like depending on your soil mix, and also depending on how your soil is in your pot. If you stick this way down to the bottom, but there's no roots at the bottom, then it's gonna say it's wet. And so you just keep this in there and you're never gonna water your plant, and all of a sudden your plant dies because it's not being watered. And you're like, why did it die? And that's because this thing lies. Liar, pants on fire, do not use a moisture meter, or actually no, use a moisture meter. Use a moisture meter, but learn other ways to assess whether or not your plant needs water. And I am going to be doing a more thorough video on watering later. So that is my hopefully short 5-minute lecture on why you should think twice or take whatever this thing is telling you with a grain of salt and learn other ways to tell whether or not your plant needs water. Thank you. Have a great day. Subscribe for the longer version. This is just a Cliff Notes version, and I'll talk to you later.